and get this started. Thank you all for joining our She is Hope LA 12-week curriculum. We're in week 2 of the 12 weeks. And today's speaker is Lisa Platt. She is the serial entrepreneur, chief connections officer of Business Networking Made Simple is one of her businesses, and the West Valley Women's Networking Association. She's lovely. She already spoke to my real estate agents a little while back. She was introduced to me by a mutual friend, and we've been staying in touch, and I just love everything she's doing. She's going to be discussing networking today. So Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and make you the host so you can present your PowerPoint and make sure you can get on.
Let's just make sure this works.
Yeah.
And
Great.
right. Of
Cool.
course, it's the thing, the Zoom thing. Let's see here. It'll let me do this now.
I'm going to mute myself. I hear the gaming ensuing in the back, so I'm going to mute myself. I'm sorry if you hear noise behind me after.
So good afternoon. And Tisha, thank you so much for that warm welcome and happy new moon Saturday. I don't know if you know or not, but today is the day of the new moon. And I follow one of my astrologer friends, and it's the new moon in my Pisces. And the bottom line of the things that she has written about this one is it's all positive. So I'm Lisa Platt, Chief Connections Officer of Business Networking Made Simple and the West Valley Women Networking Association. And I'm delighted to meet you today to talk about connecting with confidence, a practical approach to virtual networking. And to start, I just want to share a little bit about me. I'm a serial entrepreneur and I've been one for 24 years. But prior to that, my first career was retail management. And one of the things that the company that I used to work for did, they wanted us to follow a script when we greeted customers as they first entered the store. And following that script is what got me through my early years of networking, that skill, and has brought me to where I am today. So you're probably wondering, how did a shy, introverted professional choose to go into being to the world of being self-employed, but more kind of strangely become the owner of a 16-year-old networking organization, and also work with sensitive introverted professionals and teach them how to connect with confidence and communicate with intention. Well, as I go through today, I will be sharing bits and pieces of my story. But as I mentioned, 24 years ago, I left corporate America and I started a personal services company called Errands Galore. And with that, I worked with other me, myself, and I business owners, and that transitioned into the Platt company where I help people with their business projects. And through that, I met this wonderful woman who was also a mentor, and she recently moved here to the Valley, Phoenix, Arizona area. And she started one business that she needed help with, and then she started another women's networking group. And I started helping as the administrator. And the reason I got the position as administrator was because I could follow the script. That when I founded Errands Galore, I started networking. I knew that I needed to be out there to represent myself, to represent my company, and build relationships. But I didn't know how. I didn't know how to initiate small talk. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a clue of what I was doing, and I hated it. And I didn't even know that I could arrive 3 minutes before people were seated. And my nature is to arrive a little early or on time. So I did that and I was miserable. And I had needed something to do for that 30 to 40 minutes during that mix and mingle time. And one day I volunteered to help with registration, and that was my saving grace because helping with registration, hello, welcome. I did it not because it's a great way to meet people, it is, but because it gave me something to do and I could follow the script. And if I didn't help with registration, one, I would not be here to talk with you today. I would not have become the owner of West Valley Women Networking Association. I would not have started the coaching business, Business Networking Made Simple. I would still be either in some bathroom hiding because I didn't want to speak to people, or I would have gone back to corporate America and be working in a cubicle. But when we talk about networking, the first thing that we need to understand is what is networking? And networking is simply building relationships with others. And when you think about it, that in and of itself is not a scary, intimidating process. But when you look at this slide and look at where the person who created it, highlighting networking, they're pointing to that word work, networking. And picture that word work, all caps, double bold. And what does that do? It makes it, for most of my clients, it makes it not feel good. It makes this whole process of building relationships sound icky, intimidating, scary, and something that people don't want to do. And they don't want to do it because it's not fun work. And I help people learn to connect with confidence. And most of my clients, the people who reach out to me, are women who are in transition. They've either worked in corporate America and now they're doing something else, and they want to feel good about representing their new position and themselves out in the community. Or maybe they've been known as consulting in area A and they had this idea that I also want to have this really fun company, but I understand how to structure and do the work, but how do I get out there and meet people? So they want to learn to connect with confidence, which the bottom line is feel good with what they're doing. They want to gain confidence and feel good. Because when you can feel good about yourself inside, it makes everything else easier. And feeling good is a key component to business success. And this is true whether you're here today to learn about connecting because you want to be in business for yourself, you want to work in a realtor, you want to provide some type of service where you know you need to be out there building relationships. Or it's also important if you have this idea that my dream job is doing A, and for me to get there, I need to do well at the interviewing process. That if you can show up feeling prepared, feeling good about yourself, you will be successful in your networking journey. And networking is simply building relationships with others. And I like to think of it as if you were to build a house, you want to start with a very strong foundation. And I lived in Southern California a long time ago for about 6.5 years. And I experienced my very first strong earthquake. And living in a building that had a strong foundation meant that it helped keep me safe. So picture your connections as the foundation for your business or as the foundation for what you want to achieve. And the stronger those relationships, the more you can build out, the more you can attract back. You know, I met Tisha through some other people that I met this past summer. And I've introduced Tisha to some people that she's connected very well with people I met in the last 6 months. So the more we can build out our connections, the more we can attract and bring back to us. But a big challenge with networking is the fact that it's work. And the people that I work with, they're kind of like me, how my networking journey is. They would get ready to go to an event, they get all dressed up, do their hair, do their makeup, grab their business cards, grab their flyers, grab everything that they needed to do. They get into their cars and they drive to the end of the street. And in my case, I would drive out of my neighborhood to that traffic light at the main street. And something deep inside of me would scream no. And I would turn around and come home that I wouldn't go because it just felt like such an unpleasant experience. And I often say to people, what if we reframe the word networking to net funning? I don't know if you can see me, but when you say net funning, you have this giant smile around the word fun. So the first thing I want to share today is to reframe the experience to net funning. The second thing that I want to ask you is imagine the possibilities. How would it feel to communicate with intention, to be able to connect with confidence? What possibilities and opportunities would that open up for you and help you create? If you went for a job interview feeling prepared, would that feel great? If you went to chamber or went to wherever to go somewhere to talk about your business and you felt good, imagine the possibilities. How would that feel? And one of the key things about networking in a virtual world, key number one is to show up. This is just a picture from one of the Zooms of my networking organization. Is the, I'm looking off the notes here. You want to show up because if you don't show up, you're not able to build those connections. So key one is showing up. Key two is you want to take action. You want to develop a plan. And because you're here today, you've taken action. You've shown up. So I want everyone to just take a second and give themselves a big round of applause. So congratulations. And the people that I work with are not the people who are at the front of the room going, me, me, me. No, they're the people who sit in the back of the room. They're a little quiet. They feel a little intimidated and they want a plan. And so I've developed something called the 5 Secrets to Net Funning. And these are tips that are based on the principles of networking that work whether it's in a virtual setting or they work whether it's in an in-person setting. And tip number one is make it easy for somebody to reach you. When we're connecting on Zoom, we have opportunities to talk to everyone in the room, in the Zoom room. We have opportunities to share our contact information. We have opportunities to have those conversations that we used to have walking into the room or out of the room or at the table in the back of the room. Those opportunities still exist. They're just done differently. So whenever I facilitate a meeting and I share with my clients is think of the chat as the same as exchanging business cards. If you go to chamber, you go to an organization like the one that I have, it's about creating connections. It's about giving the attendees the opportunity to connect, engage, and share. So I always ask everybody to put their contact information in the chat. Include your name, include your phone number, include your email address. Make it easy for someone to reach you. And if you're at an event where they usually go around and give everyone 30 to 45 seconds to introduce themselves and to share what's new and exciting, and say you're a realtor and say you have an open house this coming weekend, then invite us to join your virtual open house or in-person open house, whatever the requirements are. So include that in the chat. Make it easy for someone to reach you. And also in the chat, there's a way to type to everybody. There's also a way to say there's somebody there who you haven't seen for a while and say, I wanted to just send a private message and say, hey, Tisha, it's great to see you. Congratulations on your accomplishments on bringing this wonderful group of people together. I can send Tisha a private message in the chat. She can send me a private message back in the chat. And that's a great way just to connect with people if you haven't seen anybody for a very long time and just say, hey, it's great to see you. How are things? Let's get together soon. So use the chat for to your advantage. The second secret to successful net funding is know your purpose. Why are you attending the event? All of us are busy women. We have all sorts of things going on. We have families, we have work, we have this, we have that. And our time is limited. So when we spend it attending events, we need to know and understand, why are we there? What is your purpose? A lot of times my purpose is to meet new people. That's my why for going to chamber or to many other events. Sometimes it's to hear the speaker. It's for personal education. We're connecting with others, talking about my business is secondary or just down the road a little bit. And the third thing that you want to do that goes along with knowing your purpose is have clear, specific goals. What do you want to accomplish by being there? So if my purpose is to meet new people, my goal is to meet 2 or 3 new people. That's what I want to accomplish. Maybe there's a speaker and I'm very interested in the topic. Well, my goal is to learn more about this specific topic. The fourth secret to net funding, and it's something that people tend to do very naturally, that they don't think about it as part of net funding, is to understand the value of social connections. Because people do business with people they like and trust. And when we're representing our business and we define who our customer is, we tend to think of them as ideal clients because not everybody is our ideal client. But we have it targeted down. I don't have time today to just talk about ideal clients because I have a whole class related to that. But we want to meet people, our ideal clients, and we want to meet people who can help connect us to our ideal clients. Those are our social connections. And the pool of people to connect with, that value of social connections, is much larger than our pool of ideal clients. And it's kind of what I said before is I met Tisha through some people and I've introduced Tisha to some other people. And I was able to do that through understanding the value of my social connections. And the fifth thing that we want to do is follow up. And that is reaching out to somebody after a talk and say, hey, it was great to meet you at Chamber. I enjoyed the speaker. What did you think? Or whatever is appropriate. And that's one of the reasons why we want to make it easy for somebody to reach you, is so if somebody wants to learn more about what you do, they have your phone number, they have your email address, they can reach out to you and ask you a question. But the thing that I want to really stress too, that when everybody's names and email addresses are in the chat, do not spam people. Do not put them on your mailing list without their permission. But use that information to do the next steps of building that connection, building out that relationship. And a lot of times when people talk about networking, they always talk about one's elevator pitch or elevator talk, elevator speech, whatever you want to call it. And they talk about it as being the most important thing. I can assure you that being able to articulate who you are and what you do, answer questions, have that confidence is important. But being able to say, hello, my name is Lisa, and I sell pink widgets to people who have purple polka dots. And I promise you, I'll quit shaking your hand if you buy from me. That's not the most important thing that you need to know about networking, but it is important to have an introduction that works. And I have a class that's a downloadable class that I'm going to offer to you complimentary at the end of my today's talk, where I go into this in detail. And in that class, Say Yes to Introductions That Work, we talk about things, the picture as a whole, that have to do with our ideal clients. And if you look at that in the broader sense, say you're not really wanting to be in business for yourself, but you would love to have this job at this wonderful company that you're interviewing for. Look at those attributes of ideal clients as the same attributes for defining what your ideal work situation would be. There are a lot of ways to take what I'm talking about today and apply it to different areas of one's life. But in the Say Yes to Introductions That Work class, I do talk about ways to craft one's introduction. And real easy peasy, simple, just getting started is start with your name, company name, finish with your name, company name. Each of those takes about 3 seconds. And then you have 24 seconds for content. And during the content, that's where you want to mix it up a bit. If you attend chamber that meets weekly, you don't want to say the same thing every day. I'm out there networking, my networking organization. So I invite people to come to our upcoming events. Maybe you've won an award. Maybe your company's won an award. Maybe you have a special anniversary meeting. Whatever it is, use your introduction as an opportunity to highlight who you are and what you're doing. What you don't want to do is start out and say, "Hi, I'm Lisa. I do A, B, C, and D." That's all. So if you're not sure how to close, just close with your name and your company name. One of the things about net funding is I want to encourage people to be in the moment and to enjoy the experience. And the best way to do this is to feel prepared, is to know your purpose, is to know why are you there. Think about what you're going to say before you go to the meeting. Think about the experience as a whole. What do you want to accomplish? It's like if you were interviewing for a job, think about the types of questions that the interviewer might ask you. Maybe you could work with a friend or a coach and practice role playing. And if you can do that and just kind of level up your skills by practicing, it helps you be in the moment, it decreases the stress, and helps you enjoy. And when you do that, you can achieve success. And your success is defined by your personal goals, your personal intentions. What did you want to accomplish? Whatever that is that's important to you, and now you've done that, you've achieved success, because networking is not a competition for best speaker. It's not a competition for best comedian. It's simply relationship building. It's simply that process of getting to know people. And let me go back to this. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask.
No, this is great. Very useful info and very practical. Thank you.
All right. So, as I said, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. And as I said, I'd like to offer you a complimentary Say Yes to Introductions That Work class. It's a recording and a worksheet, and you can work in it at your own pace. And as I mentioned, it goes into many different attributes of thinking about your ideal clients and then creating words and language that speaks to them. I'd also like to offer the attendees of the 12-week curriculum a complimentary 30-minute coaching session where we can talk about networking skills. We can talk about any burning question that's on your mind. I also produce, and it comes out weekly, the Helping Sensitive Introverts Network newsletter. And in it, I share weekly inspiration. I share a couple different quotes. I share some business tips. Some are about networking, some are about other aspects of business, and I share opportunities. And if you like any of these three, any or all, please reach out to me. My cell is 602-573-7496. You can send me a text, or the best email to reach me is westvalleywomen@gmail.com. I'd love to connect with you on Facebook or LinkedIn at Lisa E. Platt, and I'm on Instagram at Lisa Platt 27.
That is so great. Thank you for offering this to them.
You're very, very welcome. I'm going to stop screen share, and I'm going to put the host back to Tisha, if I can find her on this list of people here. I know she's here somewhere because I see her. There she is. Okay, make host. Yes. And then maybe Tisha would like to stop recording.